The Tale of Grace and the Broken Heart. Duration 4 minutes. In the peaceful countryside of Red Oak Hollow lived a woman named Grace. Grace had grown up on her family's farm, a place filled with happy memories of sun-drenched days and cool evenings spent under the stars. Life had always been simple and good, until one fateful day when everything changed. Grace had fallen deeply in love with a man named Will, a local farmhand who had worked on her family's land for years. They had big plans, dreams of building a life together, raising a family, and expanding the farm into something even more beautiful. But just when it seemed like everything was falling into place, Will left. He moved away to take a job in the city, chasing a dream that didn't include her. Grace was heartbroken. She couldn't understand how something so promising had slipped away, and for months she felt lost. The world around her seemed to stand still. She went through the motions on the farm, feeding the animals and tending to the crops, but her heart wasn't in it. The people in town, always kind, told her, "Time heals everything, Grace, just give it time." But Grace didn't feel like anything was healing. She stayed stuck in her sadness, clinging to the past, hoping that somehow things would go back to the way they were. Every morning she woke up feeling the same pain, unable to move on. Time passed, but it seemed to do nothing for the aching hole in her heart. One day, while Grace was walking through the fields, she spotted her old neighbor, Mrs. May, sitting on her porch. Mrs. May was a widow, but she was always smiling and seemed at peace with life. Grace admired her for that, so she decided to stop by and visit. As they sat together sipping sweet tea, Grace finally opened up. "Mrs. May," she said, "everyone keeps telling me that time will heal everything, but I don't feel any better. It's been months, and I still feel like my heart is broken. How do I move on when everything feels like it's stuck?" Mrs. May looked at Grace with her wise old eyes and said softly, "Well, dear, people are right when they say time heals, but only if you move with it. You see, time doesn't heal all by itself. It's not a bandage you can just slap on your wounds. Healing takes effort, and sometimes that means letting go of the past and moving forward, even when it hurts." Grace frowned, unsure of what she meant. "What do you mean by moving with time?" Mrs. May leaned forward. "It means you can't sit around waiting for the pain to magically disappear. You have to keep living, keep growing, and keep walking forward, even when it feels like every step is heavy. Time will do its work, but only if you do yours. Think of it like a river. You can stand still in the middle of it, letting the water rush around you, but you won't get anywhere. If you start swimming with the current, though, you'll eventually find yourself in a new place, with new opportunities, and a healed heart." Grace sat in silence, letting Mrs. May's words sink in. She realized that she had been standing still, letting time pass her by without truly living. She had been waiting for the hurt to fade, but she hadn't done anything to move herself forward. From that day on, Grace decided to make a change. She threw herself back into the farm, not just as a distraction, but as a way of reclaiming her life. She planted new crops, started a small beekeeping business, and even took up painting in her free time. Slowly, as she immersed herself in the present, the pain began to lift. The more she moved forward, the more she realized that her life was full of new possibilities. Time did heal Grace's heart, but only because she allowed herself to move with it. She didn't forget Will or the love they shared, but she let herself grow beyond the heartbreak, creating a future that was just as full of hope and promise as the one she had once dreamed of. The moral of this story is, time can heal wounds, but only if you are willing to move forward with it. Healing is not a passive process. It requires you to keep living, growing, and embracing the future, even when the pain feels unbearable. You can't sit still and expect time to do all the work for you. Just like a river, time will carry you to new places, but only if you're willing to swim with the current. By taking steps forward, no matter how small, you allow time to do its magic, and eventually, you'll find yourself in a new chapter, stronger, wiser, and with a healed heart. In conclusion, Brokenwood Mystic Farms symbolizes the enduring connection between humanity and the land, a tribute to the beauty of nature and the importance of honoring traditions in a changing world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You won't want to miss our short story adventures. If you have any questions, requests, or just want to say hello, feel free to contact us at info@brokenwoodmysticfarms.com. Thank you for joining us on this journey and have a fantastic day, my friends.